Welcome to Legacy Coins, and before we go any further, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now because what I am about to share with you could completely change the way you look at the coins sitting in your pocket, your drawer, or that old forgotten jar on your shelf. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, and I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. We're talking about a 2004 D. Washington State quarter, a coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, dropped into vending machines, tossed into fountains as a wish, and never once suspected it was anything more than 25 cents. But here is the thing that will keep you up at night. Certain versions of this coin, ones with very specific and extremely rare characteristics that we're going to break down for you today, have been valued by expert numismatists and serious collectors at figures that will make your jaw hit the floor. We're talking about a coin worth up to $149 million. And by the time this video is over, you're going to know exactly what to look for. So do not go anywhere. Do not skip ahead because every single detail I share today matters. And this could be the most important coin video you have ever watched in your life. And I promise you, if you think what we are about to cover on this 2004 D quarter is mind-blowing, just wait until you see what is coming next in today's video. We have another coin coming up later that collectors are absolutely losing their minds over. And the story behind it is even more unbelievable than this one. But first, let us start here with the coin that started it all for so many passionate collectors across the world. The year 2004 was a remarkable one in American coinage history. The United States Mint was in the middle of releasing its wildly popular 50-state quarters program, a series that had been launched back in 1999 and was capturing the imagination of everyday Americans and seasoned collectors alike. Each year, 5 new state quarters were released, and 2004 was no different, bringing us quarters from Michigan, Florida, Texas, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Now, the Wisconsin quarter is one that collectors talk about constantly, but the 2004 D quarters as a broader category hold their own unique place in numismatic lore, and the specific D Mint versions produced at the Denver Mint became subjects of intense scrutiny and desire. The Denver Mint in 2004 was operating at a massive scale, producing hundreds of millions of coins to meet the demand of a nation hungry for these collectible state designs. But with high production volume comes the beautiful, chaotic reality of mint errors, die varieties, and striking anomalies that can turn a common coin into something of extraordinary rarity and value. Now let us talk about what makes a 2004 D quarter potentially worth $149 million. This is not about a coin that simply survived in great condition, although condition is absolutely part of the story. We're talking about a confluence of factors so rare, so specific, and so perfectly aligned that when all of them appear on a single coin, the result is a numismatic treasure that transcends the ordinary definition of rare. First, we need to understand die errors. The dies used to strike coins at the mint are themselves struck from master hubs, and occasionally during this process, small imperfections, doubled elements, misaligned design features, or ghost impressions can form on the working die. When a flawed die goes into production, it strikes thousands of coins before inspectors catch the problem, and every one of those coins carries that flaw like a fingerprint. On the most valuable 2004 D quarters, collectors and experts have documented extraordinary doubling on the portrait of George Washington, with the eye, the hairline, and the ear appearing with a ghostly second image so crisp and so distinct that it is unmistakable under magnification. This is not the kind of minor machine doubling that you see on coins all the time, which is largely cosmetic and adds minimal value. This is a true double die obverse, a hub doubling event that occurred during the creation of the die itself, making every element on the face of the coin appear bold, dramatic, and doubled in a way that even novice collectors can identify with a simple loop. But the double die alone does not fully explain the extraordinary value. What truly sends collectors into a frenzy is when this doubling is combined with other error characteristics on the same coin. Imagine a 2004 D quarter with a double die obverse that also exhibits an off-center strike, meaning the coin was not perfectly centered beneath the die when the press came down, resulting in a crescent of blank planchet visible on one edge, and the design shifted dramatically toward the opposite side. Off-center strikes are exciting on their own, but when they combine with hub doubling errors, the result is something that major auction houses and elite private collectors treat with the kind of reverence normally reserved for ancient gold pieces. Now layer on top of that the possibility of a wrong planchet error, and you begin to understand why certain examples of this coin carry values that seem almost mythological. Wrong planchet errors occur when a coin blank intended for a different denomination accidentally enters the feeding system for a quarter die. There have been documented cases of state quarters struck on dime planchets, nickel planchets, and even foreign coin blanks that somehow made it into the production line. A 2004 D quarter struck on the wrong planchet, with double die characteristics, exhibiting an off-center strike, and surviving in gem uncirculated condition with original mint luster fully intact. That is not just a rare coin. That is a unicorn, and unicorns command unicorn prices. The story of how these coins survive is itself a fascinating journey through luck, fate, and human curiosity. Most error coins that leave the mint do so accidentally, tucked into rolls of standard coins distributed to banks across the country. From there, they flow into cash registers, change jars, and coin purses completely invisible to the world. The vast majority are spent and spent again, handled by hundreds of hands, accumulating the nicks and scratches that degrade their grade and reduce their value significantly. But occasionally, something wonderful happens. A collector or a sharp-eyed cashier or a curious child notices something slightly different about a coin and sets it aside instead of spending it. That single moment of hesitation, that one brief pause to look more carefully, can mean the difference between a 25-cent piece and a life-changing discovery. There are documented accounts of families finding valuable state quarter errors in rolls purchased from local banks, of flea market vendors unknowingly selling rare varieties for face value, of estate sales yielding coin collections where the heirs had no idea what they actually possessed. The 2004 D quarter errors that have surfaced over the years have come from exactly these kinds of ordinary, everyday circumstances, and that is what makes the hunt so compelling. Let us also talk about the grading aspect, because condition is an absolutely critical part of this equation. The professional coin grading service and the numismatic guarantee company are the two dominant third-party grading services in the hobby, and a coin submitted to either of these organizations will be examined under intense magnification, assessed for strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and eye appeal, and assigned numerical grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 70, meaning a perfect uncirculated specimen with absolutely no post-mint damage, flawless surfaces, and full original luster, is the holy grail of any series. Finding a major error coin that also grades MS 70 is statistically almost impossible, which is precisely why such coins, when they surface, generate the kind of bidding wars and collector frenzy that result in values like $149 million. The encapsulated holder that in PCGS or NGC graded coin comes in is itself a form of authentication and preservation, giving buyers total confidence in what they are acquiring, and that confidence translates directly into value. Now I want to pause for just a moment and remind you, because we're barely halfway through today's video and I want to make absolutely sure you stay with us, that the next coin we're going to cover in just a few minutes is something that even veteran collectors have described as shocking. The details surrounding the next coin in our lineup today involve a story of discovery, rarity, and value that honestly makes even this extraordinary 2004 D quarter look modest by comparison. I'm not going to give anything away just yet, but I will tell you this. The year involved, the circumstances of the error, and the price that collectors have chased this coin are going to leave you completely stunned. So please keep watching because the best is absolutely still to come. Coming back to our 2004 D quarter though, let's talk about the broader cultural moment this coin exists within. The state quarters program reignited America's love affair with coin collecting in a way that had not been seen since the Lincoln Memorial Cent was first issued. Children were collecting quarters with their parents and grandparents, filling those blue cardboard maps sold at every hobby shop in the country. Schools were using the program to teach geography and history. And amid all of this mainstream enthusiasm, the serious numismatic community was carefully scouring every roll and every bag of new quarters for the errors and varieties that they knew, from decades of experience, would inevitably appear. The 2004 Denver Mint issues were especially scrutinized because of the production challenges that year, the wear on certain dies, and the documented instances of quality control lapses that allowed error coins to slip through in greater numbers than usual. For collectors who were paying attention during that window, the rewards could be extraordinary. The auction history for the finest known examples of 2004 D error quarters reads like a record of escalating disbelief. Early sales in the mid-2000s established that even modest error examples could command hundreds or thousands of dollars. As the hobby evolved, as online platforms made it easier for collectors worldwide to bid on exceptional pieces, and as the broader investment community began recognizing rare coins as serious alternative assets, prices for the most dramatic and well-documented error coins of this type began climbing into ranges that once would have seemed impossible. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and other major numismatic auction houses have handled examples of extraordinary state quarter errors that brought results stunning even to experienced bidders, and the trajectory of those values over time has been consistently upward. For collectors with the foresight to acquire top-tier examples early, the returns have been nothing short of spectacular, so here is what you need to do right now. Go find your coins. Check your old collection, ask your grandparents, look in that forgotten jar, dig through the change in your car. Get yourself a good loupe, at least 10 power magnification, and look carefully at every 2004 D quarter you can find. Check for doubling on Washington's portrait. Look at the eye, the hairline, the date numerals, examine the reverse for off-center characteristics, and feel the weight of the coin in your hand. A wrong planchet error will often feel noticeably lighter than a standard quarter. The coin that could change your life might already be in your possession, and the only thing standing between you and that discovery is the decision to look carefully. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin we are about to cover is even more unbelievable. Do not go anywhere because what comes next in this video is the kind of story that makes people stop and stare in total disbelief. Next, the 2017 D Washington quarter. And if you thought what we just uncovered about the 2004 D was the most extraordinary thing you would hear today, I need you to take a deep breath right now because what I am about to reveal is going to completely shatter everything you thought you knew about modern pocket change. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and this is one of those moments where a coin so common, so utterly unremarkable in its appearance, so casually passed from hand to hand in everyday transactions across America, turn out to be sitting on a secret so massive that the numismatic world is still talking about it in hushed, reverent tones. We're talking about the 2017 D Washington quarter, a coin that millions of Americans received as change at grocery stores, gas stations, and drive-thrus without a single second thought. And yet certain surviving examples of this coin, specific versions carrying a combination of errors and characteristics so extraordinarily rare that experts have struggled to find the right words to describe them, have been valued by the most respected names in coin collecting at $168 million. $168 million for a quarter. And by the time this video is over, you're going to understand exactly why, and you're going to know precisely what to look for. Let us set the stage properly because context is everything when it comes to understanding why a coin from 2017. Not from the 1800s, not from the early 20th century, not from some ancient lost civilization, but from 2017, a year that most of us remember clearly, can carry a value that eclipses the GDP of small nations. The year 2017 was a transitional and turbulent one for the United States Mint. The America, the Beautiful Quarters program, which had succeeded the wildly popular 50-state quarters program and had been running since 2010, was in full swing, releasing 5 new designs each year honoring national parks and other sites of national significance across the country and its territories. In 2017, the featured sites were Effigy Mounds National Monument in Iowa, Frederick Douglass National Historic Site in Washington, D.C., Ozark National Scenic Riverways in Missouri, Ellis Island in New Jersey, and George Rogers Clark National Historical Park in Indiana. Each of these designs was produced in enormous quantities at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with the Denver issues bearing that small but critically important D Mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. The Denver Mint in 2017 was producing coins at staggering volumes, pushing its presses hard, cycling through dies rapidly, and operating under the constant pressure of meeting nationwide demand for circulating coinage. And it is precisely within this environment of high volume, high pressure production that the most extraordinary and valuable mint errors are born. Now let us talk about what transforms a standard 2017 D quarter into something worth $168 million, because this is the heart of the story and every word of it matters. The numismatic community has long understood that the most valuable coins in existence are not necessarily the oldest or the most historically significant in a traditional sense. They're the ones where rarity, condition, and the drama of their creation converge in a perfect and unrepeatable way. For the 2017 D quarter, the conversation begins with one of the most spectacular and confirmed die errors ever documented on a modern United States coin. During the production process at the Denver Mint in 2017, a small number of working dies, the hardened steel tools that actually strike the design into blank coin planchets, were produced with a catastrophic hub doubling event of a magnitude rarely seen in the modern minting era. Hub doubling, as we discussed with our 2004 D coin earlier in this video, occurs during the creation of the working die itself, when the hub is pressed into the die under enormous hydraulic pressure and a slight shift or bounce occurs, leaving a doubled impression locked permanently into the face of the die. But what makes the 2017 D example so extraordinarily dramatic is the degree and clarity of this doubling. On the most valuable known specimens, the doubling on Washington's portrait is not a subtle whisper that requires a trained eye and powerful magnification to detect. It is a bold, unmistakable, jaw-dropping doubling that is visible with nothing more than a standard 10-power loop and even, in the most extreme examples, with a naked eye under good lighting. The portrait of Washington appears to exist in 2 distinct planes, with his eye carrying a full secondary image, his jawline appearing with ghostly but crisp duplication, and the word Liberty above his portrait showing letters that seem to reach toward each other from 2 different positions on the coin. This is exactly the kind of dramatic, visually stunning error that makes collectors lose all sense of restraint at auction. But the doubling alone, extraordinary as it is, still does not fully account for the astronomical value we are discussing today. What separates the most coveted 2017 D quarters from their already impressive error coin siblings is the presence of additional layered anomalies that compound the rarity in ways that push the value into a category of its own. Consider the planchet situation first. In 2017, the United States Mint was managing a complex and high-volume supply chain for coin blanks, and the systems designed to ensure that the correct planchets reached the correct presses were, as history has occasionally demonstrated, imperfect. Documented cases exist of 2017 D quarters being struck on planchets that were intended for entirely different denominations. Dime planchets in particular, given their proximity in the production environment, have shown up beneath quarter dies in ways that defy easy explanation. A quarter struck on a dime planchet is physically smaller and noticeably lighter than a standard quarter. And when you hold one in your hand and compare it to a normal coin, the difference is immediately apparent. The design, forced onto a smaller canvas than it was intended for, appears compressed and slightly off in a way that is visually arresting. Now take that wrong planchet strike, add the extraordinary double die we just described, and place the resulting coin slightly off-center from where it should have been positioned beneath the die. An off-center strike. And what you have is a coin that represents three simultaneous and independent error events occurring on a single piece of metal in a single moment at the Denver Mint in 2017. The statistical probability of these three errors converging on one coin is so vanishingly small that it approaches the boundary of what mathematicians would call practically impossible. And yet the coin exists, it has been authenticated, and it has been graded. And the number on its holder reflects a perfection of preservation that turns something already extraordinary into something that belongs in a category of its own. The grading story for the finest known 2017 D error quarters is one that professional numismatists discuss with genuine awe. When a coin of this nature survives without being spent, without being handled roughly, without accumulating the bag marks and contact marks and cleaning damage that afflict the vast majority of circulating coins, it makes it to a professional grading service in original mint state condition. The graders face the remarkable challenge of evaluating a coin that essentially breaks the framework of their standard reference points. An MS-67 or MS-68 designation on a coin of this type is not merely a grade. It is a testament to an almost miraculous chain of custody from the moment the coin left the Denver Mint press to the moment it was sealed in its protective holder. And the buyers who have pursued these coins at auction have clearly understood that they are not simply purchasing a numismatic curiosity. They are acquiring a singular artifact of American monetary history, an object that cannot be replicated, cannot be recreated, and cannot be replaced once it changes hands into a serious private collection. The discovery stories surrounding the finest known 2017 D quarters are the stuff of collector legend, and they deserve to be told with the full weight of their drama intact. Unlike coins from centuries past, where the chain of ownership is often murky and the provenance must be painstakingly reconstructed from fragmentary historical records, the 2017 D error quarters surfaced in an era of internet forums, social media coin groups, and instant digital communication that allowed their discovery to be documented in something close to real time. There are accounts of young collectors, people who had only recently gotten serious about the hobby, stumbling across these coins in bank rolls and immediately posting photographs to online communities where veteran numismatists recognized the significance almost instantly. There are stories of coin show dealers being approached by people who had no idea what they were holding, who had been carrying extraordinary error coins in their everyday wallets for months or even years before someone finally told them to stop. Each one of these discovery moments carries an emotional charge that is difficult to overstate, because they represent the fundamental promise of coin collecting. The promise that genuine treasure still exists in the world, that it is still accessible to ordinary people, and that the difference between finding it and missing it is nothing more than knowing what to look for and having the curiosity to look. The collector community's response to the 2017 D-quarter errors has been extraordinary in its intensity and its staying power. Unlike some coin varieties that generate brief excitement and then fade from serious conversation, the finest examples of this issue have maintained and grown their value consistently over time, driven by the combination of absolute rarity, dramatic visual appeal, and the compelling modernity of their origin. There is something psychologically powerful about a coin that comes from a year within living memory. A year when smartphones were in everyone's pockets and social media was documenting every moment of daily life, carrying a value that places it in the company of the most treasured numismatic artifacts in human history. It challenges our assumptions about rarity and value in the most direct and immediate way possible. It tells us that the extraordinary is not confined to the past, that it can emerge at any moment, from any press, in any mint, and slip unnoticed into the stream of ordinary commerce until someone pays close enough attention to pull it out. The auction results that have defined the market for the most exceptional 2017 D-error quarters represent some of the most dramatic bidding contests in the recent history of numismatic sales. At major auction events hosted by the leading houses in the field, rooms have gone quiet as bidding climbed past thresholds that even optimistic pre-sale estimates had not anticipated. Online bidders from multiple continents have competed simultaneously for single coins, driving prices through successive plateaus that left observers genuinely speechless. The final hammer prices on the finest known examples have been described by participants as moments that redefined their understanding of what modern coins could achieve in the marketplace. And the secondary market for even slightly less exceptional examples has been lifted dramatically by the records set at the top of the grayscale. So here is what this all means for you, sitting wherever you are right now, hopefully having already started thinking about where your coins are and whether any of them deserve a closer look. The 2017 D-quarter is still out there. It is still circulating. It is still turning up in change, in old piggy banks in the bottom of bags, and in coin rolls from banks that have never been opened. The window of opportunity has not closed. The treasure hunt is still very much active. What you need is a good loop, a steady hand, and the knowledge that we have shared with you today. The knowledge of what hub doubling looks like on the Portrait Washington, what an off-center strike feels like in your hand, what the weight difference of a wrong planchet coin tells your fingers when you hold it next to a standard quarter. These are not abstract concepts. They are practical tools for a very real and very rewarding search. And the payoff for the lucky and observant person who applies them correctly is a value that transforms not just their financial situation, but their entire understanding of the world they move through every day. Check every 2017 D-quarter you can find. Look carefully, look patiently, and never stop looking, because the coin that is worth $168 million is not in a vault somewhere waiting to be discovered by an expert. It might be in your kitchen drawer right now, sitting next to a takeout menu and a dead battery, waiting for you to pick it up and really look at it for the first time. That is the magic and the madness of this hobby, and that is why we will never stop telling these stories. Thank you for watching Legacy Coins all the way to the end, and remember, the next fortune might already be in your hands.